As long as you kill them before they kill you, and it might take a minute or two, it's fine here as EDG, my goodness. And he threshed the 2 bans there from World Elite, but EDG have kicked things off with, I believe, the first competitive Bard ban.
So they lost 3 bans, and then they decided that they didn't really seem to need bans in this situation, just banning away Bard, unless they have a secret read on World Elite. We are not to know about the World Elite Bard comps, but LGD have tried it. We've seen it in another game. It's banned away. Yeah,
he's taken away along with the Lulu, actually, so kind of banning it away from you in some ways, but Lulu a very strong, good first pick, so not super surprising to see it taken away on the red side as World Elite. Going to consider their last ban here. What do they want to take away? Lots of threats. I think the Hecarim's got to be prioritized because Aluka, from memory, does play it?
He definitely does play it. Played it more at IEM than he's played in the LPL. Only played 1 game in the LPL in those 14 games post IEM Katowice, and it's actually a loss on the Hecarim. So being forced to ban it on blue side is a big concern. One of the things I was thinking was they would stay away from the Hecarim ban, but to be forced to choose between Sivir and Hecarim, which have been must-pick, must-ban in the LPL. If you have them together, we're talking about a really high win rate. Sivir, Hecarim, so many different synergies for a champion that dives the backline and even has movement speed scaling for damage. But in this situation, it's actually the Urgot banned away. They were expecting a first pick at Urgot. I mean, Mystic's a great Urgot player, so I guess I can understand it.
Strong champion on 5.6. I think Clearlove's not afraid of Sejuani, so happy to let that one through. Rek'Sai let through as well. I mean, Spirit can take it if he wants, but Clearlove will probably just take Nunu as a result. No jungle bans here means that there's the deep the junglers here with deep champion pools, have plenty of options to take away. Sivir's been real popular today. That is going to be the first pick, but World Elite need to pick a champion. And, oh, no, they don't. It's their first pick. Never mind.
It's their first pick. That's okay.
Too
a
excited.
lot of drama around the Sivir pick. Makes sense. You think you have to feel Deft in particular prioritize at the start of the season, reprioritizing it at the end of the season back because we're on this patch 5.6 where there's all these tanky champions that eventually kill people, especially if they're helped gap closing. Eve being shown, that wasn't shown by Clearlove, who has played Evelynn in the jungle already this season. It's not going to be the lock-in. You have to feel Deft. What's his favorite choice against Sivir? Of course, it's the Jinx, which will probably come out later in the champion pool. Hecarim's banned away, so they revert to the second best. And arguably second best, because actually Shyvana has a better laning phase than Hecarim. Is better at taking away monsters, because of course that's 20% bonus damage to monsters with that burnout, which you can max first if you're going to be spending most of your time in the jungle. And in the late game, okay, it's not as easy to get on top of the enemy AD carry, but when you do a whole load of damage.
Yeah, we've seen Lupa play Shyvana to great success already. He was loving the Hecarim and Shyvana. So EDG with Hecarim banned take Shiv away. It's Nunu here for Clearlove as well, who's going to add possibly another impressive set of stats to that already massive KDA on the champion. But World Elite pick up the Sejuani, and they're going to take the Nautilus, sticking to the meta for now, but unfortunately for them, did not seem to help in the first game.
Yeah, the casual 11-1, 20.3 KDA coming through on the Nunu for Clearlove. Been one of the priority picks for EDG. They love pairing it with Jinx. Jinx is available, and even with that Twitch hover, you have to think the Jinx is going to come out.
It would be, I mean, even with Twitch, Nunu would be great here as well. I mean, they're flashing a bunch of carries that are good with the Nunu pick, so Deft, we'll see what he wants to settle on, but EDG have certainly shown some strong comps revolving around Deft's play on a bit of a harder carry with that Nunu. Flash to the Jinx right now. John would make sense. It's locked in for Mako. And Deft, do you want Jinx? I think you have to. You've already said it, Papa. I think the answer is yes.
The laning matchup's just so good for Jinx against Sivir. You're able to sit there, trade with the rockets. Because Sivir's 500 range actually auto-attacks inside her ranged minion wave, so you shoot out a rocket, you're actually pushing the wave and harassing. It's 2 for 1 for that 20 mana auto-attack. It's synergized so well with Nunu. How many times this season have they run Nunu, Janna, and Jinx in a comp? I believe it's close to 6 to 8 times with 100% success rate. Barring that one game against Snake back in week 2. That 2-0 loss is looking a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago. Week 2?
Week 2.
Week 2. Wow, that's so long ago in EDG. The record's been outstanding since then. Interesting to note that Xia with the Vlad Open might be taking something different. Trundle actually locked in here for World Elite. And it might be Xia picking up something newish for himself. Azir is going to be their last pick.
Yeah, new for Xia, but of course not new to the LPL. The resurgence of Azir on patch 5.6 with those changes to his base attack speed. Okay, the only big change from back when he was in the meta in patch 5.4, I believe, maybe actually was 5.3, so it was a couple of months ago, was the fact that you can't just explode turrets with your W. Now that's no longer an option. Still, the rest of his kit is super strong. So great appealing for a short-range carry, in this case the Sivir. The Trundle is a different tank. It actually lanes fine, especially after Tiamat. But when you're taking a Zia, you can afford to go for some of these other picks. Not necessarily known for his TF. Normally that's a pawn champion. It fits the comp, but this is what he showed on his re-entry to the team. Lissandra, that's the pick.
Yeah, it's locked in here, and I love that Yu is able to pick up more of these utility-style laners. We had Lulu in game one, Lissandra now in the second one, and it makes sense if Korra is going to play more of a carry role from the top side. You can afford to move some of that utility into another lane, and in this case, it's going to be Yu.
And that's what they're doing, of course. Suddenly the Maokai priority, and it's played so much Maokai this season. You throw Yu into the team, who's been best on these more wave clear orientated champion. Again, Lissandra, good laning, good wave clear, decent burst in a fight, but not necessarily known for a late game damage. Again, you summed it up correctly. You throw in Shyvana, that's the damage right there for you. We already saw Hecarim worked out just fine. Shyvana, no slouch herself.
Yeah, and I'm ready for some pretty sweet Lissandra Shyvana dives. Pretty terrifying stuff potentially as a Luca, big tank in the top side, but something different. Trundle versus Shyvana.
Yeah, we've seen some Trundle. Flandre in particular has been playing it. You have to go for an offensive item early, so you can't go as cleanly for tankiness as Shyvana, who can just rush that skirmisher's saber. But after the Tiamat, you can get super, super tanky on Trundle.
Pretty curious about this matchup as well. Shia versus Yu with the Zia versus Lissandra. Could be seeing some aggressive ease toward the Emperor there. Siva versus Jinx, of course. Mystic going to want to get the hell out of this lane.
Yeah, Mystic, that's not a 2v2 lane of note, even when you're throwing in Nautilus against Janna. Usually Janna means passive laning phases, but throwing on extra AD for those rockets to crit your face is no fun for the Siva.
And Deft, his evolution as a player in the league's really been great. For someone that was consistently criticized for having a weak laning phase, he is pretty aggressive with Mako there in the 2v2.
I mean, he moves away from Heart, and I guess Mouse, who of course was their support in the first couple of weeks, was their support in that 2-0 loss to Snake. Mako, good support, but he's really opened up Deft to be so much more aggressive in lane, and the result has been such a run of form for EDG.
Yeah, they're a great bottom lane here, and in fact, the team's great in general. Let's watch EDG again as they're going to get straight into game 2. And welcome almost onto the Rift. You can see lots of EDG fans there in the crowd with their EDG and Def signs in particular. But we're onto the Rift now. EDG up a game in this best of 5 here. Had a strong game with lots of tanks there, actually, in the game 1 competition, but back to much more traditional EDG style now.
So EDG are in a bit of a quandary. We saw last game, despite having a very favorable lane matchup, they elected for the 1v2 just to open up time for Koro to pop out on the Hecarim and farm up. Again, we're in a situation where Koro has the teleport smite. It'll be interesting to see what lane they want to go for. It does look like, once again, they're happy to opt into the lane swap, even though the laning phase is looking pretty safe for EDG.
I mean, if they keep doing this, you might even have to look at that smite top lane a little harder and be like, are they just doing it for extra smite? You have 2 smites here at level 1. Aluka, noted for not playing this style, has not really picked it up in the top side, as we see.
There's Deft.
There he is. Hey, how's he playing in the game and out in the crowd? What a
no
sneaky
answers
player.
for that one. No answers at all.
Yeah, nice to see again. Lots of EDG fans cheering on their team, and they're a very popular team in China. You can see why. When we do this much winning, it's not that surprising. It's a nice ward will spot out the duo lane.
So one thing that this lane swap does do is it opens up the Gromp to be smote away or smited away. We can never discuss the lexicon of that particular one, but of course Gromp buff on a laner is so strong, doing percentage health damage to the creeps and anyone else that chooses to harass you. The jungle follows super fast here, and of course Nunu's got single target damage. Shyvana, she brings all the AoE damage. If they jungle 4, they're going to blow away the lane. But the result actually is standard lanes, but inverted.
Koro actually going to come down to the bottom lane as well, into that 1v1. So no early jungle pressure potentially. EDG tried to sneak in the lane swap to get Jinx. Just that BF sword seems to be the spot you want to get to before getting back into your 2v2 lanes. But EDG have looked fine in standard lanes as well, and I think this game will be no exception.
So this time they're not going to choose to force the issue and swap back. And you might ask, why? What's different? Well, in this situation, it's Shyvana against Trundle. Trundle has no wave clear. That's the one thing as a tanky champion he struggles on. He has no AoE wave clear. Can last hit under turret very well with the Q, the bite. But he has no wave clear. That's why we see Tiamat as the often rush. It's 2,000 gold to give Trundle the option to counter push a lane. And during that time, Shyvana can happily push up, exit lane, take the Scuttle Crab, take some enemy jungle crab camps. And so you don't actually need to swap lanes when you have Shyvana against Trundle, just because she can exit lane so freely. And
EDG sneaking in for this Dragon Clear Love at level 3. I like the ward he popped over there as well. This is some jungle pathing, Papa Smithy.
Well, I mean, this is jungle pathing. I mean, he just cleared out the bottom side of his jungle and then went straight to Dragon in this situation.
The bottom side.
And Shyvana's already in there. We already talked about the fact she has a fast jungle follow. They will explode this Dragon. Both of them. Sorry, Korra doesn't actually have Smite available, but somehow I think they're going to secure this Dragon.
Yeah, should be fine. Korra comes in at just the right time. Aluka, who got pushed in slightly, might get just enough time to get vision, but Dragon goes down. Aluka will not get the bad news, actually. Doesn't put the ward over.
Doesn't have Pillar of Ice as well, which does grant a bit of vision. So they've got the timing, though. Like, let's be real. Of course, as long as you're in laning phase, you'll see the buff register on the enemy champion. So they've got the timer coming through. It's a smart adaptation. Again, you don't need to swap in this situation because Shyvana can happily push bottom and then exit for Dragon, exit for camps. There's no pressure put on by a Trundle against Shyvana until the Tiamat is complete.
Yeah, we already talked about the Deft going to be happy in this matchup as well with the Jinx versus Sivir, and harassing with Rockets right now fairly aggressively, just trying to keep Mystic low in health, and good shield there from Mako will protect from the Boomerang Blade, and all of a sudden Deft's back to trading.
But then we re-summarize our point. They actually got Dragon control with the effective swap, and they get the 2v2 lineup matchup one, and they get the Dragon. They just got everything pastry time. And after taking a victory where they didn't have an ideal start in terms of lane swaps because they were trying to force the 1v2 for Hecarim, things just got better for EDG, and that's a scary proposition.
Yeah, and the only place we haven't looked at yet is actually the mid lane, and not much going on. Actually, some good farm coming through for you, which is about what we expect in this lane. Lots of farming, but I do love the level 1 item here. A Spirit is going to make Clear Love ward down actually from Spirit, but Clear Love knows that's there, and that should be cleared almost immediately.
And awkwardly, it's a pink ward. You have to think he was actually want to push it in the more advanced bush, not into a brush that Nunu was likely to check, but the result, the pink ward, the 100 gold investment. Take 100 gold over those global gold totals. Much closer between these two teams.
Yeah, Spirit even going to get caught by the ward as well. Nunu trying to drag his buff around the side, I think. Yeah, has dragged it around. Does not want Spirit to take it away. Actually, a level disadvantage right now. Clearly, going to get aggressed on, but you will join back in as well. Just Poe coming through now, but little low on mana of both these mid laners. Nautilus has come down first as well, and that is going to give World Elite control of the top side of the jungle.
I mean, World Elite's mid laner and support both react first.
Spirit somehow got the Raptor.
Gets the Raptor. Look at the levels, though. He's actually almost level 5. Clearlove quite desperately needs this buff. Of course, he will catch up on experience, but he doesn't want to cede this buff. And Nautilus is coming back.
Yeah, Nautilus coming here as well. Good 2v2 pressure by Waterley in the jungle. Clearlove did get his buff, I believe, but not the full experience due to Mako being there. So Spirit can't steal both things away, but does buy some time and really annoy the Nunu.
Yeah, he secures the buff. He's now basically one camp away from level 4. So level disadvantage shouldn't be a big issue. But speaking of issues...
Yeah, Eunice to get away. Great flash there from Spirit, but he gets away. The dredge line will land in as well, but you will just ult him, and that's going to force Conan to flush away.
Jia went in very, very aggressively. Didn't need to use flash himself. Wanted to get behind and use the Emperor's Divide to push him out of turret range, but no kill can be confirmed.
Yeah, you find right now, Shia will get probably slightly ahead or even on CS. It's very close between the two, and I said I like the flash from you, just keeping up in mana. Again, emphasizing a lot of that wave clear early on, because Azir, he can harass you out.
Absolutely. As a shorter range champion, of course, you have to get into about 375, 400 range of the creep line to push it in. You can get harassed out by Azir. This is a similar adaptation that we saw when I believe it was Pawn was playing Twisted Fate against Azir and went for the flask rather than boots or even the Dawn, just for extra regen. It just secures their laning phase, which can be really tricky against the Azir.
And getting to level 6, important for both those champions. So securing all your early creeps and experience, lovely stuff to have as you returns back to his lane with a Fiendish Codex.
And look, Yu does have a lot of kill pressure, especially from level 6 onwards. The one thing that Azir can't deal with is strong gap close into burst damage. That's really the only way to take down Azir, because of course otherwise, if you have any sort of sustained damage, just happily pushes you away with the Emperor's Device. There is kill pressure coming on. Specifically, Xia didn't take cleanse like a lot of Azir players usually do against Lissandra. So in this matchup, does have to be defensive. Yep,
diving coming now as well. Clearlove's going to rotate down Koro in there as well. Lissandra going to dive in. Ultimate there. Flash ulti there coming through into Aluka. Snowball in there as well. And the first blood goes to Nunu.
Goes to Nunu. Clearlove picks it up. So much turret dive available, but used desperately low.
Gets sniped there by Xie and Clearlove. That's going to force a flash. Xie flashes in, but Xie follows over the wall. A good ulti by Spirit. It's going to tag him there as well. And Clearlove's out of mana. Gets pushed back in by Xie, who walked back through his Emperor's Divide and still chasing in a little low on mana.
He doesn't have a lot of mana.
No, Clearlove just tanking off with the big beefy Nunu, and he'll walk out.
The man who never dies, Nunu, and by Clearlove
good
gets
ulti
away.
there coming through now. Exhaust onto Mystic as well. Deft rotating back in, needs a few more rockets. Going to turn onto Conan actually as the next target. Deft aggressive, but can't finish the kill.
The one thing you can note about Deft that players should take note is just how smart he was swapping between his minigun and his rocket launcher range. quickly turned into minigun just to do extra DPS to Nautilus when he realized he wasn't going to get the last auto attack onto Mystic. So DPSs them both down. Now they find it that much started to stay in lane. Just excellent Jinx mechanics coming through as expected.
Yes, and blue buff there onto you now as well, looking strong. Shie be able to pick his up fairly soon, you have to think. And we'll just continue some of the wave clear battles here in the midsection of the map. Spirit now on top of his red buff should take that away from himself and get closer towards his next major item. In fact, Cinderhawk already completed there for Sejuani.
And of course, Sejuani has that health scaling on the Northern Winds W, so can just DPS down those camps really, really fast. So, of course, happy with the fast Cinderhawk. No boots, but has the Arctic Assault for mobility, so feeling fine.
Yeah, Nunu done with his as well, so Clearlove matching items there, plus has some good aggressive wards to put down as well. We normally see Nunu, especially Clearlove, loves his early Sightstone, but actually opting for a bit more farming this time around. I
was actually going to make that point myself. It's a little bit curious adaptation. Of course, Yu is going to be playing fairly defensively in this lane, has a reliable escape. Shyvana, despite not taking flash, has always been a super hard champion to pin down. So Clearlove, for once, is actually really showing great faith in his laning phase, in his laners to push, because we're expecting Shyvana to push in down bottom. But they're going to have to control these waves on point, because Sejuani's jungle pressure is massive, and there's no extra vision coming out from Clearlove.
Yes, Best in Spirit now level 7, as we saw earlier. Does have access to that ultimate, so going to come into the mid lane. Yu, though, gets ultied out of it, maybe forced to ulti himself, snares up Spirit, but does go down.
Yeah, could have used the ult to buy 2.5 seconds, but it wouldn't have made a big deal. Conan's a little overextended, but Jinx not DPS.
And Clearlove coming into the top, but yep, Deft is not quite close enough there, and with BF Swords matching, all of a sudden, Mystic, who had a bit of a rough time there in Game 1, looking a lot better in the early stages.
And look, World Elite, they revel in the fact that it's not an overwarded map. Nunu usually, as you mentioned, means wards all around the mid lane, opening up space for, it is usually Pawn, of course, to farm. Yu overextended, wasn't that overextended, but Glacial Path not so useful when the Glacial Prison comes your way.
And I have to say, Spirit has done an excellent job this game of pressuring Clearlove's Nunu on Sejuani of all champions.
Well, I mean, just look at the farm distance, 51 to 29, 22 minions from the jungle especially. That we're talking about, what, 6, 7 jungle camps that he's picked up? You could argue that Clearlove's picked up the first dragon, but of course, not that big a contention as we move into the early game, but it's going to be the second dragon coming through. This will be funny. Quickly.
Yeah, they've got 2 smites and a consume here. This dragon's going to get DPS now.
I mean, but think about this. Remember, he also has the Flame Breath E that does 2.5% damage. Max health. There's the dive.
Yeah, dive on the top side. Death has to dodge something, but can't dodge Nautilus on Koro. Great teleport. Ulti comes in. Mystic spell shields it, but Koro dives in over the top. Flame Breath onto Spirit as they'll chase out Conan. Yu's roamed as well. Mystic looking to get low, but Aluka stops him in their tracks with the traffic cone, but Lissandra does get the kill onto Sivir, and it's a 2-for-0 win for EDG.
And they did not use ultimate yet.
Oh, yeah, actually used it onto Shie. Now Mako going to dive in as well, but a great Ember's Ride. Going to move them back. Spirit gets the first kill. Mako resets, but Sejuani's on top of them. Too low there. Spirit gets a double kill, gets out of the way. Clearlove uses his ulti. Not enough damage as Shie flashes away, and they're still chasing in. Jinx coming down now as well. Does get the slow, actually snipes it to get excited. Does have more summoners, but a big, messy fight across the rift.
The consistent damage from the Shyvana has to be respected. That was the big winner in that fight. Then right at the end, Koro actually moved towards the cove to interrupt the EQ coming through from Azir to get away. Very smart understanding of Azir's escape. It's still very even, though, in the early game patient time. EDG, they only have a 100 gold lead and 2 dragons to show for it.
I mean, the 2 dragons are nice, but you're right, the gold lead is barely nothing, and with no turrets really being taken out, it's been a lot of fighting, but not a whole lot of turret damage being done here. We're actually going to see, again, a fairly extended laning phase.
And despite going for a more aggressive champion choice in Lissandra, you still feel the fact that he's 1-3-1 Yu, that he's going to be mostly on a wave clear duty, because his item timings are going to be a bit later. It's 12 minutes, crucially still doesn't have the Merlinomicon coming through, that early, cheap 2,300 gold item. The burst doesn't feel like it's ever going to be registered this game, because the item time is always going to be a bit late for you.
Yeah, he's just going to keep moving through, clear out what he can. And I see where he can get to. She has finished the Athenes actually with those 3 assists and the 1 kill, so looking nice there. Down the bottom, Deft actually swapped back around, and Koro now in a 1v2 can't really hold on to this tower.
So they've rotated their minion. Very interesting to see Trundle end up in the mid lane, freshly shopped as well. Not really sure why they've gone for this. It must have just been a big wave down the bottom lane.
Yeah, I mean, that's a bit of a... I didn't even notice that until we blended it out, but You happy to wave clear against the Chunda. Oluka patiently waiting. Does have his Tiamat now, though, so pretty decent wave clear coming through. Can hold the lane reasonably effectively. And Azir, don't know if you can hold on to this, but if you can keep their tower up in the bottom side, WOD should get the top side turret soon. In fact, they're going to get it now because Koro's forced her back.
I mean, the interesting thing to me is I guess that WOD were going to make... Watching for an engage.
Yeah, looking for Spirit to use the ultimate now. Mako coming in as well. Clearly going to move in for some snowballs. Good block there as it comes through. Now Clearly going to use the ultimate. Good Tornado and Spirit. Nowhere good to go. Def going to find him. They'll donate the kill, but you gets it.
Well, during all of this, WOD do take the top out of turret. We see Sivir on your minimap still pushing in aggressively. Jia caught, but can get away, but there's a lot of damage being done to the inner turret even.
Conan going to catch Koro here as well, but Shyvana very tanky at this early stage of the game.
Who caught who?
Yeah, actually gets aggressive on a Conan. I think Conan now maybe thinking twice about his last bit of action. Still getting low, chasing in the depth charge, finally registering there for the knockup, and that might just be enough space for Koro not to get that next kill, but he's going to follow in. The Riptide down again. Yu's going to look over, right over the top, does go in. Oh, can't quite confirm it. Titan's Wrath keeps him alive.
Didn't have the ultimate, crucially. You could see he almost accepted his fate. Watch this rocket.
Yeah, Jinx coming in. Oluka! Hero block. Not sure if intentional, but very well done.
I mean, not that intentional. Has no armor completed at all. And look at this. Everyone's picking up jungle camps. I actually worked out what World Elite were trying to do. The big thing they were trying to force, Pasty Time, is they were trying to force Koro to be accountable. When you're against a 2v1 as a Shyvana with Smite, you don't necessarily have the laning summer. You want to exit lane with your Smite to pick up some camps, but you can't do that against Sivir Nautilus. Sivir has that auto attack cancel. She mows down turrets, so trying to make Shyvana accountable, that at least got them inner turret damage. A smart swap coming through from World Elite.
Koro, though, going to really power down these waves with the W going in. Oluka, pretty similar position, but not quite Shyvana level as far as wave clear goes. But looking good. The teammate's completed nice and early here. We look down the items as well. Aegis completed now for Spirit, who's looking very good early on. And Nunu Ninja Tailway plus a Sightstone, so he's going to go for that Sightstone eventually.
Yeah, Sightstone's there. I mean, Yu's going to feel a little bit sad about that because, again, he's been preyed upon in this mid lane. Doesn't quite have a lot of defensive ward coverage, especially around this bottom side. You can see some red wards towards the top side of the map, but not on the bottom side. So it's definitely favoring the top side is Yu.
And Azir finally rotating back in towards the mid lane with his Chalice, which going to make a bit more sense given the major opponent that he'll be now back up against.
200 gold short of the nearest large rod. He's had that Athenes for quite a while, so he's at a good item timing. Definitely ahead of his lane opponent.
Yeah, Def down as well. Actually has Infinity Edge quietly, so Mystic doing good on the items, but probably needs to go back and spend a bit more gold. But interestingly, again, it's the turrets that are the big story. World Elite, the only team with a turret right now. And that's with a Jinx in the game.
Yeah, that was that top turret when they tried to make the Shyvana accountable, forced her out of lane, then took that out of turret. As you mentioned, it's very slow turrets coming through. Of course, it's wave clear battles in the mid. Azir versus Lissandra. Don't expect any turrets coming through there fast. Sivir, even if she's behind, has almost instant wave clear between the Ricochet and the Boomerang Blade. But Clearlove's down bottom, so they want to get on that ball.
Yeah, Blood Bowl going to help them out. Should be able to have a bit more pressure into the bottom side of the map. Oluka continuing to farm some things up, but Koro level 11 now starting to get aggressive, and here's the Jinx power we expected. First out of turret does go down for EDG.
Shouldn't be surprising. The moment you see Nunu, the only thing he's ganking is that turret. Happily takes it down with the Blood Bowl and some of those Yeti slaps. So they finally get their first turret. They really desperately want the mid turret because, of course, then they can move their vision line aggressive enough to make Spirit accountable. Spirit gets away, but they want to push their vision more aggressively because if Sejuani's pathing is very predictable, then Shyvana can overextend the top if we see Sejuani in the bottom, and vice versa. They want to overextend for farm, but you have to respect the bevy of CC from Sejuani.
Clearlove coming in, wants to maybe channel that ult. He walks back into the brush, but Mako's been ulted there. Clearlove taking a little too much damage. Koro's come back down, but Nunu flashes out there. Now Koro on the wrong side, but Mako a great ult to move back in. Yu's come down massive there. Locks up 2 to give Def 2 kills, I believe. No, just 1 there. Now Def getting jumped up by Shie. In trouble there as Azir gets the first one. Yu gonna get locked down now as well. Koro still alive in the backlines, but Aluka's fending him off, and a big bloody fight, but only 2 kills.
It was desperately poor positioning coming out from Def. Just completely disregard the full health Jie. You cannot do that against the Sandstorms that are being put up in that case. Was happy to get the Sand Soldiers up, killed Deft, and then they had to back away from the fight because he's their true consistent damage dealer. Importantly, we are getting to the point where Shyvana is unkillable for Sivir, who always struggled, especially in the early game. That was the old matchup. Shyvana just couldn't get, Sivir couldn't get through the super tanks like Shyvana, like Mundo, and that sort of point's already been achieved.
Yeah, and a great ult there from Yu, actually unfortunately unsettled by Deft. and his awkward positioning. It's a rare misstep from Deft, actually, who's now got an Avarice Blade working in towards a static Shiv.
There was a lot of aggression that came through, and he must have expected Janna was with him, but for one, Janna was actually working together with Koro to dive the Sivir, and on the other side was actually out of mana, so didn't even have mana for a shield. So maybe it was poor communication, but as you mentioned, a rare misstep for Deft.
Yeah, now actually on top of the Dragon, Clearlove should be able to secure it and does. They're going to start to fight again. Deft gets grabbed there by the Nautilus, but turns around for the damage. Great chompers, and Yu gets popped back into the back by the Emperor's Divide. Xie chasing him down. They've got to kill the Sazir, but now getting the DPS down. Deft gets excited just in the nick of time, and Clearlove dies back in. Mystic's going to go down to Clearlove, actually, as he spell shielded the Zap. Now Spirit's going to get chased away, trying to kite a Luca, but he's so tanky as the Trundle. Deft separated from Janna, but he can't chase in, and it's a 2-for-3 win for EDG.
The Pillar of Ice wasn't available, so Trundle deftly, which is an awkward term, kited by EDG. Deft, crucially, doesn't fall down. Still finds some jungle creeps, so you won't stop that income coming through from the Jinx, but another super close fight.
And Luca coming in, actually, very focused there after that. Almost single-handedly managed to carry the fight, but the poor, very melee-ranged Trundle hurting a little there, but we'll take the turret. No, can't quite get it. Deft gonna chase back in. A good tornado there from Mako, followed in by the Zap from Deft. Now gonna chase him with the rockets there coming through. That crit comes in, needs maybe one or two more. Next rocket comes through. Can they get the last one? Zap gets him with just the edge, and Deft a wonderful kill.
And crazily, the minion line didn't get in front of the Trundle, so they pick up the kill. Deft hoping for the critical strike. Wouldn't have needed to hit the Zap if that had come through, but still, the mechanics on point.
It nails it anyway, and 5-1-4 now is Deft in his Jinx. Xie clearing out some minions. He's got quite strong, actually, with the Stinger that he purchased. That's kind of why Waterlead have done quite well in these last few team fights. Sogshu's done as well. Locket done for Spirit, and the Hydra plus a Spectre Spark completed for Aluka. Mystic and Deft were relatively close on items, but Deft just went back for a BF sword.
But Deft was almost taken down by a no armor Trundle. Of course, Trundle can steal away those resists, but nobody's building armor on the EDG side either. Don't know if that's just a cute adaptation as his Spirit looking for a buff steal.
Yeah, you got to just casually Arctic assaulted over the wall.
The casual Arctic assault from the massive Sejuani.
And smited it away, and Spirit might even look to dive. Mystic going to line it up. Koro forced to burn out and run back the wrong end of the lane. Flows out the flame breath, but EDG, 20-minute Baron, and Koro going to send them on quite the adventure. Mystic like, we need to get back, and Conan locks him up, but EDG still on top of the Baron. This might be too much. I don't even have Shyvana's smite, just in case, and Shiv continuing to buy time. The Baron goes down, and Koro's still alive. Now going to eat an ultimate from Nautilus. Spirit going to chase back in. Koro will eventually go down, but it takes a while, and EDG buy enough time for a 20-minute Baron.
And if you could hear the comms just there, Beishamp, I think I heard a very quiet whisper, Worth, coming through from the Shyvana, swapping her life for the Baron. Very nice play from EDG. No way they could collapse on bottom to do any damage. And even though the outer turret is still up, Baron is not.
Yeah, and then there's a lot of turrets up, actually. World League currently winning in that metric there, 3-2. EDG haven't quite rotated as well as we've seen them before, especially with their Jinx, but just taking it a bit more slowly. Happy to farm it up. Mikhail's done for Mako. Jinx is getting into an extremely strong position here in this game. Even you can have a major item finished soon. He's got the cooldown boots there as well, looking for maybe even an assassination attempt, but Aluka not his best target, and he does recall away.
And with the Blood Boy in his pocket, because of course they have a Nunu on the team, actually skipping over the attack speed and critical strike for now, just has that little Avarice Blade completed. Needs the lifesteal, I guess, to deal with Trundle, because of course got super low to those frontline divers between Trundle and Sejuani in the last fight. It's only actually 1 point in the Blood Bowl. He hasn't been skilling that. He's actually skilling it third after Consume is clear love, so it's going to be a little bit lower in the consistent damage in the fight, but Deft always finds a way.
Yeah, it's a nice little adaptation, honestly. I mean, you can get some good purchase out of the Jinx minigun form, especially for some free attack speed, but we often see transitional Zeals in Jinx builds to go along with the Bloodthirster IE, but in this case, Clearlove's just kind of being a Zeal.
But it's only just the lowest level. It's only the 1 point. Remember, when we saw Beast playing Nunu earlier in the season, actually for, I believe it might have been Kalista back in the season, but for Crystal, obviously, was actually maxing Blood Boil before Consume or even the Ice Ball. In this situation, it is the last max, so you will lose out on some of those statistics this game if you're Deft.
Well, might be a bit of a dagger right now, but eventually we'll upgrade into Zeal, at least for Deft as far as stats.
It's basically a PD.
Yeah, eventually, it's going to be very strong, and I like, again, you're getting a static chip, a bit more wave clear, a bit more magic damage. Because, you know, as you said, Nunu's going to provide you extra fan mans for you. That coveted 7th item slot.
It's all about consistent damage and then the sustain to top him off in fights because he has been falling very low. Deft has been known to vary up his item builds. Of course, was known for Trinity Force Varus, despite that not being necessarily a smart build. But Spirit's going in.
Yeah, going on top there. Clear up, tanking the ultimate to a little too much damage. Flushes out again.
He's
now
back.
going to come again. You a great ultimate to set up massive damage from the Jinx, and the Zhonya's popped in there as well. Jinx gets the first kill. You does go down, but Deft still coming in. Conan almost dies to the splash damage.
Whoa.
Gets a double kill with a crit rocket there. Now Aluka getting chased out as well. Will go down as well. Jinx getting very excited in this fight. Gonna get Xie as well. Spirit's gonna go to make it a quadra for Deft.
Jinx is stoked this game, not just excited. The instant double onto the AD carry was crazy. And there's the slight zoom because he deserves it. And Deft, you just can't give him Jinx. You can't serve Jinx up on a platter. You don't necessarily ban the Jinx. But if you early pick Sivir, this is the response. And if you don't early pick Sivir, he might pick it up himself.
Yeah, and let's see that again.
I mean, you just wait for this fight. Crucially, the first kill doesn't get registered. They look for it. That's why ClearLove walks back into this fight to ult. He realizes that there's low members and Deft has already hit a massive item timing. So people fall super low, but Deft realizes, okay, I can't get the first kill. Takes down the turret, then just wait for the flash that he gets into this fight. Notices the low health members, notices the fact that the Nautilus are grouped up again, gets an instant double kill. Luca's already at the front of the fight at this point, is taken down as well. And when you're this strong, you just pop the heal, pick up another one, and there's a quadra kill casually for the Jinx.
Yeah, served up very nicely there. I have to say, a wonderful ultimate from you kind of created a second zone. I mean, ClearLove usually the one we herald for big absolute zeros, but you kind of did his job there.
But everyone understood that their job was just to get the first kill onto the Jinx, and it looked like they weren't going to. It looked like the EDG were going to get the absolute minimum with the turret, but then he lined it up, flashed in for the crit, and did all the work.
Toro flanking right now, though. You getting onto Mystic. That's a big ultimate used as well, but they're going to keep going in. Azonius will get him to safety, and Koro diving massively into the back, gets a kill onto Nautilus. You dies again, but Mystic's already down. They just need to kill Xie, but Deft kiting around to Luca right now, but he's free hitting massively on top of Spirit there. Gets another kill. Xie going to go down as well, and Deft does it again.
This is what he does on Jinx. He just takes over games with his very smart positioning. Sitting in a cove, they couldn't auto-attack him, and this is why he racks up these massive scores.
Yeah.
And World Elite, it's a best of 5 to go into the semis, but they have to surrender.
And Deft, bit of a sly smile there right at the end of the game. He knows he's got at least one more game to play in this best of 5, so can't relax yet. And Spirit
remembers Deft being on his team and suddenly doesn't like him very much.
Yeah, remembers why he enjoyed playing with him and remembers why he does not enjoy playing against him. And Spirit, who was so happy at the start of the game, looking a little less excited now, and he's so happy.
Even crucially, you remember that final against TSM was still very positive when they were 0-2 down. They're 0-2 down again against an EDG lineup that looks like they're going to waltz their way to the finals, let alone the semis later this week. Deft is just so good. We already saw, we confirmed at the start of that game, can sit in the crowd and step onto the field and carry. But he's just that good.
He's really, really good, is Deft. And that's sort of the thing for me, I guess, about the early pick Sivir. Mystic knows this. He's played that matchup. He's a great Jinx himself. Sivir's a great champion. I love her a lot in this meta for different reasons, but when you have a strong Jinx player on the enemy team, maybe reconsider that matchup.
And that's what I said. They served up the Jinx pick. You don't really ban away the Jinx, but if you early pick Sivir, he's going to pick Jinx to answer. That's why I called it. He showed some other champions, but why go to anything less reliable than Jinx, especially with that strong laning phase? And then again, you don't take the Sivir, he'll probably just lock it in himself.
Yeah, and EDG now getting themselves